Definitely had an exciting year. Last year, just coming in first year as an assistant, was a big learning point on the training side of things, just learning how to train athletes and just build those relationships and go into that. This year, I'm still definitely doing a lot of learning, trying to figure out how to write a training plan. That was sort of what I worked on all summer. Coach Grove has been really instrumental in sort of helping us develop a training plan. She's very new as well, and so we were sort of able to come up with our own strategies from what we've learned in the past from our previous training, what's worked, what hasn't worked. Still doing a lot of things where we're making trials and error. I've learned, looking back, learned a lot of things that I would have done differently from this past season. Last year when I wrote our training plan as an assistant, I think I overtrained some of our athletes a little bit. This year we may have undertrained at certain points, but overall I'm definitely pleased with the result. It's been an exciting year, been able to travel a lot, been able to have some historic performances on both the men's and women's side. So that was exciting to see, and so we got a young team coming back, and so we're hopefully to be able to build off that over here in the next few years. We were definitely really excited just about everybody that we had coming back. We had a handful of fifth-year seniors coming back. I knew on the men's side we were definitely going to have a big senior class. We're losing 5 or 6, and on the women's side, bringing Maggie Locker back was a big help. That she was going to be instrumental both physically for the team, but also just as a good leader. But then on both sides, we were also had a bunch of youth coming in. The ladies side didn't necessarily bring in a huge recruiting class, brought in 3 ladies, but we did have a bunch of youth from the recruiting class that was brought in before me. And on the men's side, I mean, I had 8 freshmen that came in and were able to make immediate impacts. As we went through the year, pretty much during our preseason, we were really excited with how things were going coming off of our summer training. A lot of them had a higher base than they've ever had, and so coming into the year, we were already looking sharp through our 2-mile time trial with preseason. And so we had it on the men's side. It looked like we were going to have 4 freshmen that could immediately make impacts and jump into our top 5, top 6 runners, and they pretty much did that. Throughout the year, went bouncing anywhere from 3 to 8 for us. And then on the ladies' side, just that high base definitely really helped just coming in. And then one thing that was big that I noticed during preseason that really, I think, helped our season more than anything was more than the physical aspect of things. This team is one cohesive unit, and they showed that early on. Whether it was just in workouts or just some of the team bonding activities that we were able to do. Going down to Camp Lucon over at the beginning of the year was a big just team building activity for us. And they really bought into each other's lives, and they enjoy being on each other's teams, but more importantly, they really buy into each other as family members and brothers and sisters. And that's one thing that's really been huge and instrumental in the success that we've had. As the season got started, we opened up just with the 2-mile 5K tune-ups at Center and Berea, but right after that we directly went into the Indiana Wesleyan University meet, and that was one thing that was we were excited for. It was a big meet that we had never gone to. There were going to be 5 or 6 teams in the top 25 on both the men and women there, and so our goal was to go in and compete. Both teams came in this season just with expectations and goals to hopefully make it out to Vancouver and make a trip at nationals, be ranked in the top 25, and so we wanted to, our goal as a coach was to give them opportunities to go out and prove that they deserve to be there. And so different meets that we did that at was that Indiana Wesleyan meet, the Greater Louisville Classic, and the Great Lakes Preview, or NAI Great Lakes Challenge up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Indiana Wesleyan was a good test and a good showing for them. Both the men and women after that first meet, the women ran the 2nd fastest team time in school history, led by Christy Shank, who went sub-19 for her first collegiate 5K. And then on the men's side, I think that was our 3rd fastest team time in school history running there. Sam Kaiser had a big race, and then our freshmen looked really good, especially Dakota Brady. He ran, I think it was the 2nd fastest opener as a freshman. It could have been the fastest opener as a freshman in school history, so that was exciting to see, just to start the year off strong there. Immediately coming after that, the next poll came out, and our men were ranked in the top 25, so we've already sort of hit that threshold and hit that goal. And the women, they jumped into the receiving votes category, and that was the first time that had happened in school history, so that was exciting to see. Definitely a good start coming off the year. And we went into the very next week. We went down to our pre-conference meet. With it being our third meet in 3 weeks, we approached both races just sort of as a workout. Didn't want to overrun the legs, but we wanted to get the athletes on the conference course. Like I said, the next big meet we went to was Greater Louisville. We went into that meet with big expectations on both sides, but we really honestly struggled through that meet. The women ended up having a quarantine situation where we were missing half of our women's team going into that race. And then Christy had been battling with a non-COVID related illness that really hampered her performance, and I had to pull her just so she didn't run herself into the ground, potentially make her sickness a little worse. And then on the men's side, sort of the same thing. We had a handful of non-COVID related illnesses going on. A lot of people dealing with cold type symptoms, and we're really struggling with just running performance. And Dakota Brady, who had the big showing as a freshman and at the Indiana Wesleyan University meet, he really struggled through that when he had been sitting out the previous 2 weeks just to try to battle his sickness and see if he can overcome it. We ended up having to pull him from there. Lucas Smithson was able to show out at that meet. He ran a 25:56 or so, in the 25:50s in that realm. And so he really stepped up for us and was a big reason why we didn't drop too terribly after that race. But besides that, race results are pretty mediocre. A little disappointing, but we knew that going in that we still had the Great Lakes Challenge to sort of bounce back. And so as we had 2 weeks off after Greater Louisville, so we had a little bit of time to really recuperate from that meet, some time to rest, but also get in some quality workouts. And so we then looked towards Great Lakes, wanted to go in, have a big performance, and prove that we belonged in the top 25 again on both sides. Both the men and women went up to Great Lakes and they ran really, really, really well. The men, we didn't finish as high as we wanted to. We ran fast. Sam Kaiser led us with a 25:21, which ranks him among the best in school history in the 8K. And then on the ladies' side, we were missing Christy Shank, who led us at our first meet, but she had been still battling with an injury, and she was able to sort of come back and we were able to pull together as a team without her and still run one of our fastest times in school history. We had a lot of ladies PR in that meet, had some guys do the same. It was a really good day for the ladies at the Great Lakes. We'd sort of fallen out of the rankings. It's going to be hard to jump back in for them at that point. The men's side, we ran well, didn't finish as high as we wanted to, and so at that point, we knew that we had a chip on our shoulder that we had to prove something at conference for the men. How cross country works on the men's side, if you finish second in our conference, if you're ranked in the top 30, then you get to go to nationals, and that's because we do have 12 full teams in the conference. Women's side, we only had 11 full teams, so it was a win or go home sort of situation. And so both teams knew going into conference, which is our next meet, that what they had to do. The men knew that they had to beat Lindsey Wilson, who beat us at Great Lakes, and we also had to do whatever we could to run as close to Shawnee State as we could, or hopefully, our goal was to go in and beat them. We know that they're a national powerhouse. We knew that something special was going to happen for that to take place, but we had to go in and run with them. On the ladies' side, we knew we had to go in and win, and that was our shot to go. Again, the ladies' side, sort of our story of our season was dealing with a lot of adversity, just with injuries and sickness, because that was another thing that happened as we approached the conference race. The ladies really going in were really excited, and I thought they were going to perform well, but just had a spur of injuries the week of. Some people that came up with some illnesses the morning of the race, so we didn't run to our best potential, but they controlled what they control, and that was one thing I challenged them all year and really challenged them at conference, was all we can do is control what we control, go out and put our best effort forward, and then give the rest to God. Let him take care of the results. If the results don't go our way, as long as we've enjoyed the process and enjoyed what we're going through, it's going to be worth it, the effort that we put in. And so ladies ended up finishing fifth, definitely not satisfied with where they did, but they were able to sort of bounce back from that the next week at NCCs. The men, on the other hand, they went in and they really battled. Time-wise, it doesn't look that great, but our conference course runs a little bit slow. But we were able to come out. Lucas Smithson was able to run well, came away with the men's freshman of the year. Sam Kaiser led us with an all-conference finish. Colin Sheffield, all-conference. Jacob Hamilton, all-conference. And so our seniors really stepped up and helped us pull through. And so we were able to finish second place. Shawnee beat us pretty handily. But I mean, they ran like they were a top 10 team in the country that day. And I believe that they were. And so we went into that hoping we were going to be able to come away with an NAI bid. We were 32nd going into that, had to be ranked in the top 30. We beat Lindsey Wilson pretty handily. And so we knew we were at least going to be 31. And so the next week we just spent time praying that the voters were going to believe in us and put some faith in us. And results came out that Tuesday. They did. We came out ranked 30th. And so we knew we were going to make the trip out to Washington, and that was something that we've been shooting for all year. As an athlete, I never got to make the trip out there, narrowly missed qualifying twice. And so as a coach, it was pretty special to be able to take a team out there and really reward our seniors who had really worked for it for 4 years. That was sort of their goal, is to make that trip as a team. And it was really special for me, for them specifically, just because Jacob and Sam and Jarrett were three of our seniors that I was able to run with and now able to coach to help them take a team out there and compete. The women weren't able to qualify, but that very next week they were able to sort of bounce back, and we were able to take them to the NCCAA championships, and they really performed to the best of their abilities there. It was something special to see. They ran without a lot of pressure. I just told them to go in. I was like, it's our last race. There really isn't any pressure. We just go out and have fun. And that's the way that they race best, is when they're just relaxed and going out and have fun. They don't have to be extremely focused. At Michigan, whenever they ran one of their best races, they were sitting there making TikToks before the race. And so I wanted to challenge them to do the same thing when we went out to NCCAAs. They went out to NCCAAs, ran without Christy Shank still, who was still battling injury. Didn't want to push her to make her injury worse. And so they went out without our number one from our first meet of the year and ran our fastest time in school history by a long shot. We had three girls jump on the top 10 list this year, two of them in that race, Emma Steph and Haley Shank. And then Haley Lamar was right on it, where she has had a really good year all year. She's really battled with injuries as well, and still put up some solid performances. Maggie Locker was able to close out her Tiger career at that meet with her first sub 25K, and that was exciting to see. Especially last year, we did a time trial and she went 20:01, and so I told her, I was like, Maggie, you come back and give me another year to coach you, and we'll go after sub 20 together. That's a big big minute barrier that a lot of people aren't able to dip under into the 19s. And so it was exciting to be able to see her accomplish that in her last collegiate meet. We ended up finishing the NCCs with the highest team performance that we've ever done, finished second place. We had two All-Americans in Emma Steph and Haley Shank, and really closed out the year well. From this year's team, we've had 4 girls currently on our roster that are on our school's top 10 list. Christy Shank, Emma Steph, Haley Lamar, and Haley Shank. And then team-wise, we ran 3 of our top 5 fastest team times in school history. And one thing that's been really special to see on top of all of that is in all of those 3 of our top 5 fastest team times, our top 5 individuals in all of those were different runners. And so it shows that we didn't have just one front runner that was carrying us, or even 3 or 4. We had it was a full team effort to accomplish what we did this year, and we have a lot of youth coming back. The only person that we're missing from cross country is Maggie Lockard, and she's typically been our 6-7 girl. And so our top 5 scorers are going to stay pretty consistent next year. Hopefully we can bring in some freshmen that will aid in that. On the men's side, as we went out to NAIs, It was definitely a fun trip coming back. I hope you all were able to see some of the videos that our videographer Zach Clements was able to make to share that experience with you all, because we were able to make some experiences out of that. And the men went out there and they were able to compete. We again had some quarantine issues right before we left, but again, we controlled what we can control. Again, that was something that we told them that, I mean, it's been our challenge all year, and they went out, and even though we were missing our number 4 runner from our conference championships, they went out and they competed better than what they were ranked. We were ranked 30th going in, ended up finishing ranked number 28, and probably could have been up in that 26, 27 range if we had a full squad. The course ran pretty slow, but the men went out and absolutely battled. It was a fun race to watch and a fun race to compete at. And so definitely pleased with the result, pleased with the season. And I'm excited to see where things go for track season now, hoping to get some All-Americans. And then just as we're trying to build a recruiting class and build a culture here. This is a family. We're trying to build a culture of success and excellence for both the men and the women. Not just excellence on the course and on the track, but we want to be able to pour into you as an individual, as a student, as a Christian, and also as an athlete. My goal as a coach is I want to be your coach, but not just for running. I want to be a mentor for your life and to pour into you. And our upperclassmen and the guys that have been here and the ladies that have been here, they want to do the same. We have some good things brewing. We've seen a lot of success in some of our results, and we just hope that you want to be a part of that family.